If you're a senior or a veteran expecting a payment on March 1st, 2026, you need to check your bank account right now. Millions of Americans are about to wake up to a missing payment scare, but the truth is actually a massive calendar trap that could break your budget if you aren't prepared. Here is the urgent update. Because March 1st falls on a Sunday, the Social Security Administration is legally prohibited from sending your money on that day. Instead of waiting, the SSA is triggering an automatic double deposit in February. Your entire March SSI or VA payment is actually hitting your account on Friday, February 27th. This sounds like good news, but here is the catch. You will receive $0 from the SSA during the actual month of March. If you spend that early deposit as a February bonus, you'll be forced to survive a brutal 33-day gap until your next check arrives in April. With the 2.8% COLA increase already being eaten up by rising costs, this one-week shift is the difference between paying your rent on time or facing a late fee. In today's video, I'm showing you the exact February 27th early release schedule and the March gap survival plan to protect your savings. If you want to stay ahead of these government payment shifts and protect your retirement, hit that like button right now so we can warn every senior in America before the March deadline hits. Gemini said, "Wait, don't look away, because what I am about to tell you is the difference between a secure month and a total financial nightmare in March 2026. For years, we've relied on the same routine for our Social Security benefits, but the calendar is about to throw a massive curveball that most people are completely unprepared for. If you've been hearing rumors that your March check is missing or that there's a secret double payment coming in February, you aren't alone. But there is a specific legal reason for this that has nothing to do with a bonus and everything to do with federal banking rules. Starting right now, we have to address the March gap, because if you don't understand the math behind your February deposits, you could find yourself with zero income for over 33 days straight. The reality of the situation is that the Social Security Administration operates under a very strict set of guidelines when it comes to the weekend and holiday schedule. By law, if the first of the month falls on a Saturday or a Sunday, the government cannot wait until Monday to pay you. They are required to move that payment to the preceding business day. Since March 1st, 2026 falls on a Sunday, your March Supplemental Security Income, or SSI, payment is officially being shifted to Friday, February 27th. This creates a psychological trap. When you see that money hit your account on the last Friday of February, it feels like extra money or a month-end bonus. But it is not. That is your rent money, your grocery money, and your medicine money for the entire month of March. Let's dig into why this is so dangerous this year. Because you are getting paid on February 27th, and your next SSI payment won't arrive until Wednesday, April 1st, you are looking at a massive stretch of time where your mailbox and your bank account will remain completely silent. For millions of Americans living on a fixed income, a 5-week gap between checks is enough to trigger late fees, utility shutoffs, or missed prescriptions. This isn't just a minor administrative shift. It is a test of your budgeting skills. You have to be your own advocate and treat that February 27th deposit as if it were a locked box that you cannot open until March 1st. If you spend it early to cover an old February debt, you are effectively stealing from your future self. And the SSA will not issue an emergency second check just because the calendar was confusing. But the confusion doesn't stop with SSI. If you are one of the millions of concurrent beneficiaries, meaning you receive both Social Security retirement or disability and SSI, your schedule is even more complex. You are going to see your SSI hit on February 27th, and then just a few days later, on Tuesday, March 3rd, your regular Social Security check will arrive. This creates a cluster of income at the very beginning of the month. It can feel like you're suddenly flush with cash, but you have to remember that after March 3rd, you won't see another dime for the rest of the month. The government is essentially front-loading your March budget, leaving you to navigate the remaining 28 days on your own. This is where the 2026 digital senior strategy becomes vital. You need to be checking your My Social Security account daily to see the net payment breakdown, especially because your 2.8% COLA increase is being partially offset by the new Medicare Part B premiums. Speaking of that COLA increase, let's talk about the actual numbers you should be seeing in your account this month. For 2026, the maximum federal SSI payment for an individual has climbed to $994. If you are a couple filing together, that number is $1,491. When you see that $994 hit your account on February 27th, you need to verify that it reflects the full 2.8% increase from last year. If it looks lower, it might be because the government is deducting the new $202.90 Medicare Part B premium directly from your check. This premium jump is one of the highest we've seen, and it's hitting right at the same time as this calendar gap. It's a double whammy of financial pressure that requires you to be absolutely meticulous with your records. Now, if you are a retiree who receives benefits based on your birth date, your March schedule is a bit more traditional, but you still need to be on high alert. If your birthday falls between the 1st and the 10th of the month, your check is coming on Wednesday, March 11th. If you were born between the 11th and the 20th, mark your calendar for Wednesday, March 18th. And for those born on the 21st or later, your payment will arrive on March 25th. While your dates haven't shifted like the SSI dates, you are still living in the same economy where the price of eggs and electricity is rising faster than that 2.8% COLA. This is why understanding the senior bonus deduction we discussed earlier is so critical. If you are over 65, that $6,000 tax deduction is your real bonus this year, not the early check on February 27th. I've seen so many people get caught in the holiday cycle during years like 2026. Because January had a holiday shift and February has a holiday shift with President's Day, your brain gets used to seeing money arrive on random days. But March is the month where the music stops. There are no federal holidays in March 2026 to push your retirement checks early. Everything moves back to a strict Wednesday schedule. If you've spent the last 2 months getting used to early money, the wait for your March 25th check is going to feel like an eternity. You have to prepare for the correction of the schedule now while you still have the February funds in your hand. Let's address the elephant in the room, the rumors of a fourth stimulus or a special March bonus. I am here to tell you, as your grounded AI collaborator, that as of today, February 14th, 2026, there is no fourth stimulus check. Any video or article claiming that the $870 or $994 payment on February 27th is extra money from the government is misleading you. That is your own money, money you worked for and earned, simply being moved around by a computer program because the first of the month is a Sunday. The SSA is very transparent about this on their official 2026 payment calendar. But scammers love to use these double payment months to trick seniors into giving up their direct deposit information or their new security PINs. This brings me back to the Security Authentication PIN, or SAP. Because March is a high confusion month, identity thieves are going to be out in full force. They know you might be stressed about your missing March 1st check, and they will call you pretending to be an SSA agent who can release your funds if you just provide your new PIN. Never, under any circumstances, give that PIN to someone who calls you. The SSA already has your information. They don't need you to verify it to fix a calendar shift that they already planned for months ago. If you get a call like that, hang up and log into your secure portal. Your message center will show you the exact date and amount of your next 3 deposits, providing you with the peace of mind that no scammer ever could. As we move through 2026, the theme is self-reliance. The government is providing the funds, and they are providing the new tax deductions like the working family's tax cut, but they are not going to manage your checkbook for you. With the 2.8% COLA, the average retirement check is now roughly $2,071. After the $200 Medicare deduction, you are left with about $1,169. If you are an SSI recipient at 994s, your margin for error is razor thin. When that $994 arrives on February 27th, you have to be disciplined. Think of it as a 33-day mission. You have to make those dollars stretch until the April 1st sunrise. I'm keeping a close eye on the Social Security Fairness Act, which is currently being debated, as it could potentially provide more relief for those impacted by the windfall elimination provision. But for today, your focus must stay on the calendar. March 2026 is a unique month that will define your financial stability for the rest of the spring. If you can bridge the March gap without falling into debt, you will be in a much stronger position when the new Medicare enrollment rules and the senior bonus deduction benefits start to fully kick in later this year. This 2026 calendar shift is essentially a stress test for every senior and veteran on a fixed income. Because you are essentially skipping a paycheck in the month of March, you have to be your own accountant. Let's talk about the digital fortress you need to build around your finances to survive this 33-day gap. In 2026, it is no longer enough to just check your balance at the ATM. You need to be actively monitoring the pending transactions in your bank app starting on the morning of February 26th. If you don't see that March SSI or VA payment sitting there in pending status by Thursday evening, that is your signal to act immediately. Banks are dealing with massive volumes of data during these holiday-shifted double deposit weeks, and occasionally, a file can get flagged or delayed. Knowing your money is there before you wake up on Friday morning is the first step to a stress-free March. But what happens once that money is in your account? This is where the real discipline starts. We have to look at the March phantom effect. Because you will see a larger than normal balance on February 27th, it is very easy for automated payments, like your Netflix subscription, your gym membership, or even an old car insurance policy, to pull from that balance before you've had a chance to set aside your rent money. In 2026, many companies have moved to aggressive billing, where they attempt to process payments as soon as they see a positive balance shift. I highly recommend that on the afternoon of Friday, February 27th, you move your March rent and utility money into a separate savings bucket or a secondary account if your bank allows it. By hiding that money from your primary debit card, you prevent the 33-day gap from becoming a 33-day disaster. We also have to discuss the President's Day echo. Even though we are talking about March, the holiday on February 16th actually creates a ripple effect in the banking system that can last for 2 weeks. Banks often use the days following a federal holiday to run system maintenance, which can sometimes delay the availability of funds. While the SSA will send your money on time for the 27th, your specific bank might have a policy of holding large deposits for 24 to 48 hours. If you are with a major national bank, you're usually safe. But if you use a local credit union or a prepaid debit card, you might not have access to that March money until Saturday the 28th or even Monday, March 2nd. Do not schedule any critical payments for the morning of Friday the 27th until you have verified that the funds are cleared and available, not just present. This is why the 2.8% COLA increase is so bittersweet this year. While it's the biggest raise we've seen in a while, it's being eaten alive by schedule volatility and the $200.90 Medicare Part B premium. Many seniors are reporting that their net increase is actually only about $15 or $20 after the government takes its cut for healthcare. When you combine a tiny net raise with a massive payment gap, it feels like the system is working against you. But remember, the system is just math, and math can be mastered. If you can save just $1 a day from your February checks, you'll have an extra $30 of cushion by the time you reach the end of the March gap. It sounds small, but in a world where a gallon of milk is pushing $5, that cushion is your safety net. Let's talk about the veterans among us, because your situation is unique. VA disability and pension payments are usually scheduled for the first business day of the month. For March 2026, that would normally be March 2nd. However, many Veterans Advantage banks and credit unions like USAA or Navy Federal often release those funds 1 to 2 days early. This means some veterans might see their March money as early as Wednesday, February 25th. If you are a veteran who also receives SSI, you could potentially be looking at a triple deposit week. This is a massive amount of cash hitting your account in a 72-hour window. If you aren't careful, that Friday feeling can lead to a March meltdown. You must treat those VA funds with the same reverence as the Social Security funds. They are for your future, not your weekend. As we look toward the middle of March, You might start seeing news reports about Social Security overpayments. In 2026, the SSA has implemented a new AI-driven overpayment detection system that is designed to catch earnings limit violations faster than ever before. Because the earnings limit for those under full retirement age is now $24,480, many part-time workers are accidentally crossing that line. If the system flags you during the March gap, it could potentially lead to a withholding notice for your April check. This is why it is so important to report your wages through the My Social Security portal every single month. Don't wait for the government to find an error. Be the one who reports the change first. It is much easier to fix a small mistake in March than it is to deal with a frozen check in April. I also want to address the community support aspect of this 33-day stretch. If you find yourself struggling toward the end of March, say around the 20th or 22nd, do not be afraid to look into the LIHEAP or SNAP emergency extensions. In 2026, many states have increased their senior emergency allotments specifically to help bridge these calendar gaps. There is no shame in using the programs you have paid into with your tax dollars for decades. These programs are there to ensure that a Sunday on the calendar doesn't result in an empty fridge in your kitchen. We are living through a period of immense change for Social Security. From the move to digital-only communication to the new security protocols, the SSA is trying to protect the fund for the next generation. But your priority is the here and now. Your priority is making sure that when March 1st arrives and your bank account doesn't move, you can smile because you already have your March budget tucked away in your February 27th deposit. You are the CEO of your own retirement, and every CEO needs a solid plan for down months. March 2026 is a down month for deposits, but it doesn't have to be a down month for your lifestyle. I am going to continue to monitor the Social Security Solvency Report, which is due to be released in a few weeks, because that will give us a clear picture of what the COLA might look like for 2027. But for today, I want you to focus on the immediate future. Check your My Social Security account today. Make sure your direct deposit information is 100% correct. Ensure that you have your new security PIN safely stored in a physical location, not just on your phone. And most importantly, prepare your mind for the March gap. Knowledge is your greatest asset, and you now have more of it than 90% of the people who will be panicking on March 1st. You've got this. You've survived harder things than a 33-day payment gap. You've navigated decades of economic shifts, and 2026 is just one more chapter in your success story. Stay focused, stay disciplined, and keep your eyes on the long game. The April 1st check will be here before you know it, and when it arrives, you'll be able to say you handled the March mystery like a pro. Your financial security is a marathon, not a sprint, and you are currently leading the pack. I'll be right back here with you at the end of the month to make sure those February 27th deposits hit exactly as they should. We'll look at the cleared funds reports together and make sure no one is left behind. Until then, keep your budget tight and your spirits high. You have earned these benefits, and you have earned the peace of mind that comes with knowing exactly how the system works. March 2026 isn't a threat. It's just a calendar quirk that you are now fully prepared to defeat.